I want to welcome everyone for joining us today for Swipe Right, How to Partner Up. This is our last keynote talk from the Small and Rural Library Conference keynotes that we brought for everyone online. Just a reminder that next week starts our wonderful bedbug webinars. So please feel free to sign up for a bedbug webinar. And here today we have joining us again Cindy Fesemyer, who is the Adult and Community Services Consultant for the State Library of Wisconsin. Previous to that, she served for 7 years as the director of the Columbus Public Library in Columbus, Wisconsin, where she and her team earned a runner-up honor as Library Journal's 2017 Best Small Library in America. She serves as a library trustee for the Madison Public Library and as a member at large on the board of the Public Library Association. In her capacity as an engaged rural librarian, she sat on advisory committees, I cannot talk today, for the ALA Library Transforming Communities Models for Change program and the Philadelphia Free Libraries IMLS Award and Community-Centered Librarianship. And I ask you to please welcome once again, Cindy Fesemyer.
Thanks for that introduction. So I want to say, I got a little clapping. That's awesome. Thank you, Karen. I'm probably mostly not going to see those though. What I want to say is this session, had we done it live before all of these things happened, was going to be super duper interactive and a little bit frantic, and there were timers and highlighters and colored markers and small groups and big groups. And so I am very happy that Yvette and Becky have helped me sort of pivot that, and this is still going to be a very interactive workshop, as interactive as it can be when we're in different places across the Midwest. So this is an experiment. Bear with us and please participate. The more you participate, the better this is going to be and the more you'll learn from each other. We're going to be doing some exercises together that begin with spending some time just by yourself, brainstorming on some topics that we'll talk about in a moment. But to get you ready for starting to think and starting to do a little bit of work during this session, I want to ask another question. We already have where are people from that you've entered into the chat. Now that we know where you're from, where are you really? Like, are you in the library? Are you on a curb? Are you at home? Are you in your backyard? Let's hear where you're really physically at. And if everyone would please enter that into the chat, that would be great. So quite a few people are in your libraries. Dining room, home offices, in the library providing curbside service. Yay. Okay. Nobody's anyplace crazy, like at the public pool watching their kids swim. So excellent. That means that you're ready to participate in this. So the reason that we're doing a little bit of interactive work together on partnerships is because it's a really integral relationship that the library has with the community around the library. You need to partner up with organizations and people within your community in order to do what you do even better, right? We do more when we work together. An initial stumbling block for some people on that idea of finding those partners out in the community or in strengthening existing relationships in the community is where to get started. If you're like me, and I was a director in a small library with municipal population of about 5,000, I was there for 7 years. It took me like a year to kind of build up the guts to pick up a phone and make a cold call and say, hey, would you have a coffee date with me? I'm the new director. I would love to chat. So what we're going to do today is intended to get us over that, that hump kind of. So we're going to do a thing called community mapping. So what you see on the screen right now is kind of partially visual, partially data. It's a way to create the map of your community. So you can see that we've got the library at the middle because we all work for library organizations, but we are connected to so many different kinds of organizations and people within our community, and then they're connected with each other too. So what I'd like you to do is like literally bring up another screen on your computer or pull out a piece of scratch paper and looking at these headings. Let's maybe start with the business community. I want you to go through and brainstorm for like 5 minutes. So we're going to have 5 minutes of quiet on a webinar, which is really weird, but I want you to take time and get started to just think about your community. And if after 2 minutes you think you've written down all of the possible partners that you could have in your community, I want you to think harder, because you should be able to write off and on for 5 minutes, no problem. Just go according to the headings. So business community, it could be the little cafe on the corner, gas stations, banks. Local government, we're all part of local government. Specific community populations, is there a specific population in the community you serve? In Wisconsin, we have the highest per capita instance of Hmong people living in the middle of the state, and that's something that we need to pay attention to. So it's the same going around: faith groups, local leaders, all of these. We're going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to start now. It's 1:08. I'm going to start talking back at you in 5 minutes at 1:13. Go. And now I'm going to interrupt if it helps you. This is one that I did when I was a library director, and it can be a little cheat sheet for you. You can steal some answers from me if you can read my writing. Two and a half minutes to go. Keep thinking. Keep racking your brain, keep writing. Okay, 1 minute to go. Write 2 more. If you think you're stuck, just dig deep and write 2 more. Okay, it's 1:13. You can sort of keep writing and keep listening, whatever you like. But this is the time when what was meant to be very interactive is basically going to be us crowdsourcing our answers and together compiling a document that has lots of different options for you. As we know, not all communities have the same options for partnership, not even close. But there are going to be a certain number of overlaps, and my great hope is that you steal each other's great ideas as we move forward with this. So Yvette or Becky, if you could please share the link in the chat for this shared document that we're working on. The thing that you see on my screen is a document that we're going to work on together. And you'll get the link to it in the chat in a moment. The link to it was also in the invitation to, thank you, Yvette. This link was also in the invitation to the Zoom webinar itself. So I see people are starting to show up in here. That's great. It's also up on my screen. So you have a couple of options in how we're going to do this together. You can put some ideas into chat if you're not able to access the shared document, or you can put your ideas straight into the shared document. Now, Yvette assures me that you all are accustomed to working off of shared documents like this, so that's wonderful. That's why you have access and have the ability to write in it. I'm starting to see people clicking in. That's perfect. What I would like you to do is choose a square that's away from other people and choose a different column, top, middle, bottom of that column, and start entering some of your answers. Be aware that other people are doing the same thing. And we'll end up with duplicates in there, and that's just fine. But if you see that somebody else entered the rotary, then you don't need to enter the rotary because we've already got that one in there. So I'm starting to see lots of people show up. I'm starting to see specific answers coming in. Keep going on that, please. When you finish all of them from the first column that you worked on, just bump over to another column and start putting in your answers. Take time to see what others have put in. If anyone started a whole other column of other that wasn't one of the headings that's on this spreadsheet and that wasn't on that sort of octopus looking drawing, please feel free to just rename the tops of these columns to the other kind of other that you created for yourself. Oh, there's some really interesting partners showing up already. So I am going to go ahead and start, when I see something in chat, I'm going to start entering them for people. League of Women Voters. Thanks for that, Jennifer. Do you think of that as a civic group or as a local organization? Cool. More civic. I'll throw it in there for you then. Spell right too. Mimi, the health department and behavioral health, are those municipal organizations? Like they belong to your village or town or city, or are they separate like a hospital is? County, great. So I'm going to start an other that is county resources. And Jennifer D., the Hanan Center for Senior Programming, is that a municipal organization like a senior center, or is it a private organization? Private, great, thank you. Let's see. Building community partners. Well, that sounds like an awesome group. I see squares are still moving. So that means y'all are still entering information. This is great. Keep going and let's get it all down on the page. I know Michigan and Indiana, you have MCLS as a statewide resource, yes? I'm going to go ahead and add it just because I happen to know about that one and I don't see it there yet. Okay, the scores are starting to slow down a little bit. If you were holding off and waiting for people to get stuff in to see if there was stuff for you to add, why don't you go ahead and step up if you were sort of stepping back for a moment, and let's give you a chance to get some more stuff in there. I think I got everything from the chat, but if I missed anything and you didn't see it show up, go ahead and unmute and tell me or put it in the chat. Oh, I see a new one, At-Risk Families, a local community group, great. Okay. So everybody try and finish up doing your group data entry within the next, like, let's say minute. And then we're going to go through and maybe clarify what some of these things are, because we all call groups different things from municipality to municipality. Okay, so I'm going to try a thing. When you're ready for us to start discussing, would you just write ready in the chat? And when I see a preponderance of readies show up in the chat, that'll get us started. But I want to make sure everyone has their chance to do this. Okay, I've seen a good number of readies. I think we're just going to get started. So, Yvette and Becky and I were speaking during the tech run of this, saying that we were a little bit nervous about how this was going to work, but you guys are awesome. So you basically just crowdsourced a document that could serve you for years to come when it comes time to, well, especially when we get to go back into our libraries and have some semblance of normal and you're ready to start expanding those partnerships. This is a roadmap that can get you there. But before we finish with this, I'd like us to talk about some of the specifics, and I'm just going to call out some questions on some of these because some of them aren't clear to me what they are, and perhaps they aren't to others either. Now I'm going to start with this column, local government. These are all relatively DHHS's Department of Health and Human Services, I assume. What is DDAs? And please feel free to unmute and just say it, or you can type it into chat if you were the person who put in DDA. Becky and Yvette, do they have the ability to unmute themselves?
They should. It's a
Okay.
maybe is it a Michigan thing? Isn't that the Downtown Development Authority?
Downtown Development, yes, maybe it's a Michigan thing.
I was a library director too.
Cool. I do wonder, what is 5 Healthy Towns? And for this one, we would love to have you unmute to hear what that organization is. And if you are speaking right now, you are muted.
To unmute yourself, all you have to do is
Hi,
go to
this is Laura from Chelsea.
Perfect. Hey, Laura.
Hey, so I can't recall all the towns off the top of my head, but they're all 5 small towns in Michigan, and they support each other with health initiatives. Like right now, we are sending out bags of recreational equipment through the library. So it's a big grant funder. It's a neat organization.
And you said you're from Chelsea?
Yes.
Terrific. I have a lot of family right there, so I know your library very well. Does anyone have any other questions about the column A, local government? We want to make sure we walk away understanding what these things are. So I'm going to have us bump over to business community. And so here, you know, people put in things like credit unions and banks and bars. And yes, I'm going to challenge you though, if on your map you wrote banks, bars, downtown merchants, I'm going to challenge you personally to go through and start filling in some of the details. Because this webinar is for smaller, more rural libraries in Michigan, I'm going to assume that none of us has, you know, like 1,700 banks within our municipality, like a big city would. So I think it's worth your time to go through and write down some of those details. The reason this is important is because the things that rise to the top of your list are places that you already have a relationship with. So if you start writing down the names of the, say, 4 coffee shops in your municipality, the first one is probably the one that you go to the most often, and maybe you know the owner or the regular people who work there or the regular people who get coffee there every day. And that is something to take note of. So if we were together in person, you would get a highlighter and you would highlight that one because that's something that you want to come back to. So as you start fleshing out the details of the actual store name, pay attention to the ones that you truly know on a personal level and on a professional level. So you're also a person within your municipality. Whether you live there or not, you probably stop for groceries somewhere sometime on the way to or from something, or from a library, for a library program, whatever. Make note of those kinds of relationships, people that you see on a regular basis. Oh, so Sandy in the chat says Lowell has a loose group of businesses on Main Street that meet every other week and plan cooperative activities. That's awesome. So Sandy, is the library, and that's their downtown merchants, does the library attend those meetings too? I'm just curious. And the library does attend, so that's spectacular. So every single one of the people who sits around that table every other week is, well, basically already a partner, but there's the potential to mine them for a deeper relationship at some point down the road. So now, just in the interest of time, I'm going to have us move on to some of the columns that just need a little bit of extra information. So specific community populations, I'm going to call out one in particular, and that is homeschoolers. Boy, oh boy, in the time of COVID, I mean, not that homeschoolers didn't already get so much of our love and attention, but in this time of COVID, if Michigan is anything like Wisconsin, there are going to be many, many more families homeschooling in the fall. So that's a really good thing to sort of refresh that relationship with the homeschool families you already have, and maybe start thinking ahead, if you've probably have already, for how much more potential business you might have with those same kind of questions and support resources that the families will need, and perhaps finding a way to virtually introduce them to each other, or at a distance, or whatever. But that is, well, those are potential partners who are just going to grow exponentially over the coming year, I suspect. So nursing homes, 4-H, rural community, not sure what that is. I guess in Wisconsin we'd be talking about farmers and ag producers. But yeah, that looks great. Does anybody want to call out or mention anything specific in that nice long list of specific community populations? Rural could mean those who don't have internet access. Yes, absolutely. So then the library is so important to them, right? This is so weird that we're not talking to each other. I just want to say, this should be a robust conversation. I'm sorry, you're just listening to me. So let's do the same thing. Moving on to faith groups, I think we get that. I find it interesting that the food pantry came under faith groups for at least one of you. It was the same in my municipality when I was a library director. The churches, different faith organizations took turns once a month hosting the food pantry, and they just shared it across. So it's nice. A lot of faith groups will pick up the slack in smaller towns when you don't have an entire organization to devote to a food pantry. Faith groups are such lovely partners. So local individual leaders, the thing I want to say here is this is where you want to fill in on your community map actual names of actual people. So instead of saying city manager, you'd want to put their name on what you're creating. On here, it's just fine. For the school superintendent, you want their name. And I love that whoever added that said, or their secretary. And that's going to be really important on the next screen that we look at. So hang on to that one for a minute. Let's just take a minute and kind of blow through what we see here. So many local organizations. And can I tell you, it's these grassroots organizations that are full of people who say yes. Their first inclination when somebody says, can you help me, is to say yes. They are opting into helping their community be more vibrant and robust. And so you can often get a yes if you're asking for partnership for some reason with the library. So that's local people, local organizations, state resources. What's MEL? Michigan Education, I don't know, I'm making this up.
It's the Michigan E-Library.
Oh,
It's our biggest thing.
It's the Michigan E-Library.
LM sponsors. And
Thank you. I learned something. Thank you, Yvette. So many acronyms under our professional organizations. Ain't that always the way? So I don't know what MAME is. Is that commonly known? Or MIALA?
It's Michigan Association for Media and Education. MIALA is the
Okay.
Academic Library Association.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I know stuff.
Yeah, you do. Way to show it off. Library groups, so these aren't the formal ones, but these are the ones who support us more on the local level. And I love that somebody mentioned Face Group. It's not a partner exactly, but I love how you think of it as a partner. That's an interesting little twist. K-12s, yep, we've got all the schools. Cyber schools harkens back to our homeschoolers. So when we go back to, if you remember what my filled out octopus chart looked like, I had arrows going all over the place. And so if you see a number of connections off of a particular person or organization and a lot of arrows going from them to someone else, that is somebody that you need to have a coffee with. Civic groups, a lot of the standards are there. Other, Black Lives Matter. Ooh, if you have a local instance of Black Lives Matter, what a fantastic and timely potential partner. Post office, airport, down here we have Madonna, Schoolcraft, St. Mary's. Maybe Madonna and Schoolcraft are manufacturers?
Colleges.
Colleges, thank you. And county resources, some of those fell under local government. Some of them are here. You'll see we have food bank here, just like we did underneath faith groups. So it just becomes a mishmash. What I want to do right now is ask you to go through either your piece of paper or this document that we've created together and pick out 3 organizations or individuals who would sort of translate as to your contact. And I want you to do 3 specific ones. Somebody that you're already really quite tight with. So a good existing partner with your library. Somebody who, like, you've done a thing with, maybe they provided one program once, or you've heard somebody say, like, you should really talk to blah, blah, but you just never quite got around to it, that kind of person. And the other one, a brand new idea, someone you don't have an existing relationship with that you brainstormed on your own sheet or that you got off of our shared document here. So if we think of it in the swipe right dating, it's like the long-term commitment, dating, or we haven't met yet. Those are the 3 that I want you to find those organizations. Make a note of them. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to go back to my other screen. Okay, so now you should be seeing my crazy octopus of a community map. And this is what we're going to do now with those 3 organizations that you just brainstormed for yourself. Again, you're just going to sit for like 5 minutes quietly. I would play music or the Jeopardy theme in the background if we were in person, but we're not. So what I want you to do is to just sort of go through this sheet on scratch paper yourself or open a new document. I believe it might also be available in the shared docs that you got the link for, but I'm not certain.
Yes.
I guess. Okay, and could you share that in chat then too, please?
Sure, let me grab that.
Thanks, dude. And Whether it comes through as a usable Word doc or not, I don't know, but at least you'll have the questions. So for those of you following at home, what you're going to be doing is doing a quick lay of the land. What do you as a library staffer bring to the table as a potential partner? And what are you looking for in a partner? So this is kind of your dating profile, right? Like long walks on the beach and sharing database resources. Qualities you seek are people involved in the arts, whatever you need to make your agency more robust. And then for each of those 3 partners, and this is the really big thing, I want you to go down, literally figure out who the individual is that you need to connect with at that organization, the best way to connect with them, literally, like, is it picking up the phone? Is it Facebook Messenger? What is the best way you've been able to connect with them? What do they specifically bring to the table? And you could look at the qualities that you sought in partners and pull 1 or 2 of those down. You're going to do that for all 3 of your organizations. So let's start with that. So Yvette and Becky, I'll say as folks are working on that, I lost my chat again when I switched back around to screens and I'm not easily finding it. So just a heads up that I'm off chat at this point. Please feel free to call my attention to things.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, I'm gonna rush you a little bit, I'm sorry, and say just get as far as you can in the next minute, and then we'll come back together. If you are ready, well, let's do the chat thing. If you're ready, will you enter ready into the chat, please? And Yvette, just let me know when it seems like we've got a good number of folks, please.
The readies are flying through.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. All right, you guys rock. So what I'd like to do is hear from some of you, and we're just going to go through this a little bit methodically. So very importantly, I'd like to hear from at least 2 different people the qualities that you and your organization bring to the table, because sometimes we don't toot our own horns very much, and we we kind of forget to say, like, amazingly helpful staff, because we just take it for granted. So if a couple of you would be willing to unmute and just tell us, what does your library bring to the table as a potential partner?
So this is Karen at the Parchment Community Library. The things I thought of were space, publicity, good location, goodwill, legitimacy, organizational skills, friendliness.
What's legitimacy mean?
That the library has been around for a long time and has a great deal of legitimacy in the community.
You are well trusted and well known.
That's it,
Yes?
trust.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. That was really great. Does one other person want to share what you wrote down? And it's okay if you repeat. Going.
We could cold call.
Do it. Call in someone.
Come on, Sarah Hashimoto. Maybe Sarah's hiding.
Okay.
How about Shauna? These poor people who know I know them. I guess people aren't up for cold calling. Well, Sarah or Shauna, we have a lot of good participators here today.
You can also, if you're shy about speaking, you can enter some of those qualities into the chat, and then.
Oh, Sarah doesn't have a mic today. Well,
Okay.
But Sarah can enter it in chat.
Sure.
And I'm apparently intense.
For calling someone out. Librarians don't do that, Yvette, man. Okay. The thing that I do want to know, though, is I'd like to have 3 people agree to speak about your possible partners. So I'm going to ask one person each to speak on the, like, we're already close, we're just dating, and we haven't met yet. So start thinking about if you would be willing to unmute and share why you want to connect to them and how you will do that. So let's start with, we're already close. We already have a love match. Would someone please unmute and share who that partner is, the best way to connect with them, and what you bring to the table in that partnership?
Sarah just answered your last question in chat.
Oh, great.
So
What did Sarah say?
Sarah said, we bring enthusiasm, a willingness to help, and the ability to think outside the box.
That's great. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay.
Enthusiasm, I mean, it's all tied up in the staff, right? The staff are everything. Okay. Is it going to work? Is someone willing to share their possible love match partner?
This is Mimi at the Bad Axe Library. I would offer up the relationship with the Great Start the Huron County Great Start Collaborative. It's a county-based effort. I joined the group when I saw on the list that there were no libraries listed at all. And so they invited me to the meeting, but it's been really helpful for connecting our county libraries to a lot of the different social agencies in town. And because Bad Axe is the county seat, it makes it a little easier for me. But we've had a number of different programs here that say Head Start called and said, could we have our parent meeting and dinner here, or other events where different groups that are working with various segments of the population, young families, they've started programs here, and so that's been a really good matchup.
That's spectacular. So I want to call out something that Mimi said, and that is she noticed that there were no libraries at the table. And if you wouldn't mind unmuting again, Mimi, how did you make that, if it was you who did it, how did you make that first step toward having a seat at the table?
Well, I didn't really know anything about the Great Start Collaborative. I mean, it's been around for, I think, I don't know, 6 or 8 years. But I came upon the sort of the establishment document, and it just seemed to make sense as a good group to partner with from the library standpoint. So I read through it, and then I looked at all the signatories And that's when I saw there were no libraries, and I just called out to the ISD, has a person who is the coordinator for the Great Start Collaborative. So I just said, can I come talk to you? And she was very open to it. And next thing I knew, I was going to have to go to meetings.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. So that took a little bit of bravery, and sometimes it's hard to be brave, but obviously it paid off for you. So thank you for sharing that. Would anyone be willing to answer who the partner is and what you're looking for in them, about someone that you're just dating, someone that you already know and maybe want to get to know better?
I know I talked once before, but I'll talk again if that's okay. And for me, it's the Area Agency on Aging. We had a partnership plan that got canceled because of COVID, but because of their strong knowledge of elderly populations and the fact that we have a large number of elderly people in our community, I think it would be really good to work on a better partnership with them.
That's spectacular. And what will you bring to the table when you kind of pitch them on working with you?
I would say, an increased visibility for them. I know they already have a great deal of visibility, but maybe not so much in our little town. Exposure to an additional audience, a great place to meet.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much, Karen. And so let's hear from our wrap up, our final person. You haven't even met yet, but you know that this is an organization that you would like to potentially partner with. Who is going to be brave and unmute and tell us who that organization was for them?
I forewarned Tim Wiggins that if I had to cold call again, I would call on him. So he did receive warning.
Anyone going to pick that up? Looking to see if anyone is not muted. Y'all are muted. Nobody's planning to talk to me. All right, I'm cold calling. Virginia D, would you please unmute and tell us what organization you would like to get to know better?
Well, mine's just a silly one. It's one we've been trying to connect with for a long time and have been unsuccessful, and that's our local schools. We cannot get the relationship with them that we want. It's killing us. We have so many things to offer them, and we can do it in a way that's not overwhelming, but I think they feel overwhelmed right now, especially.
Oh, yeah.
That they're already trying to learn too much stuff, and so that's the one that I really want to make happen. I have not succeeded to this point.
I have to tell you, I so feel your pain. The local administration in Columbus, Wisconsin, where I was the library director, the school administration was absolutely not open to working with us. It was dumbfounding. It was just difficult. I'll tell you one thing that I did instead, and that is I got to know the school librarian, and I got to know the like really out there doing lots of like field trips, science teacher, like third grade science teacher. And little by little, it was talking to the people who would return my calls, but they were the instructors and the librarian. And it was through them that I was able to make like just little inroads into the schools.
Right. Yeah, we can do it one teacher at a time, but that's
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Does anyone have any tips for how they got to strengthen their relationship with their school? Because schools and libraries go hand in hand. It's so dissatisfying when that relationship isn't easy. Anyone have any words of wisdom you want to unmute and share or enter into chat? Please do so. And I don't think that was a silly one to add at all. I'm really happy that you brought it up. Thank you.
This is Christina from Auburn Hills. And for us, I discovered a lot of school districts have kind of the gatekeepers, which are marketing and community relations people. So if you can get in with them, that normally helps you get into the rest of the schools.
Interesting. So would that be through the front office kind of?
Yeah, they're normally in the front office area, but the last 2 districts I've worked with, they are definitely the gatekeepers. So they're the ones that give you the permission to go into the schools.
Cool. Anybody else have any tips you want to share?
We do have a few things in chat from a number of people. Let's see. From someone called Staff, providing weekly recording to recorded book talk sent directly to middle grade teachers. Lorena says, we have a change of superintendents. The new person was far more receptive. And Eric Palmer says, sometimes they are part of a Rotary or civil group like that.
Oh, nice. Well, and that difficulty getting through actually starts talking about the very last question on this sheet. What are the barriers or concerns that might come up? And I think gatekeepers are one of them. And so that was a really good example. Thanks for spending a little bit of time talking about the very important schools. So I want to say at this point, we've done the best that we can with what should have been getting to know everybody in the room if we were together in person at what looked like a beautiful resort lodge. I was looking forward to going there, maybe somewhere in the future. But I do want to say that here is my email address. Please feel free to get in contact with me if you need any of these resources or want anything further. You can also get them from Yvette and Becky. Does anyone have any questions or anything you want to share as we wrap up? You can unmute or you can put them in chat, please.
Hello?
Yeah.
This is Brenda. I'm from Charlotte. It's a little community outside of Lansing. And I just wanted to brag a little bit about our library staff. During COVID, we cooperated with a community partner, Helping Hands Food Pantry here in Charlotte that serves quite a few rural areas. And we took some books that we had storehoused for our used book sale, which may or may not happen now, but we selected quite a lot of books for elementary, and then we packaged a separate box up for teens and gave them to the food pantry so that they could put the books inside the pantry boxes as they left. So it was just a little innovative idea. I thought I'd just share it, and maybe someone else would be able to do the same.
Super smart. Thanks, Brenda. I'm glad you shared that. Yes.
We have Work Queen 2 is asking, how wide of an area would you cast your net to make partners?
Well, I'll just say my opinion, and I think that it needs to be as wide as you need to go to find a couple of really close people to work with on a regular basis. So if you're in a very, very, very small town, just a few hundred people, you probably need to look at the municipalities around you as well. When I was in Columbus, it was the center of rural life because it had 5,000 people. It was the big town for the majority of the people that we served. They were from very small municipalities. So you might need to, if you're in a very, very small library, especially for those county and municipal level potential partners, you might need to go to a larger municipality that is close to you, that has a senior center or a food pantry or a Department of Health Services or something that your smaller village municipality might not. I don't think it's so much how far geographically you cast your net. I think it's just finding those people who right off the bat, you know they are ready and willing and you see a connection between the two of you. And personality match matters. So if that means you're going a couple towns over for a great partner, do that. If you have that right on your home turf, then you don't have to go as far. Does anyone else have thoughts about that? How far to cast your net? Any other questions in chat, Yvette?
No, not that I see. We did have, let's see, Jay Lewis shared that the Comstock Township Library also did this at the locations, offering free meals for kids in addition to the food pantry.
That's great.
But that is all we have.
That's phenomenal. Okay, so just to finish up in our last minute or so, one more interactive thing. If you all would please put it in one word into the chat, that's just your one word recap of the hour that we just spent together, so that we can see what folks got out of it. That would be fine. One word. And thank you. Persist. Wow, so true, especially in these days. 2 is okay. Work together. That's great. Thanks, you all. Informative, hopeful, working together, partnerships, collaboration. Thanks, all. You guys have been terrific. Thank you for having me. Hopefully, I can see you in person someday.
Thank you, Cindy, very much for being, what's the word, flexible in our approach to these presentations. I know that this was meant to be interactive.
And it required experimentation with you all as well. So thanks for trying the experiment with all 3 of us.
I think it worked out well. So thank you, Cindy. And thank you to everyone else who attended today and participated. We appreciate it a lot. And please remember to fill out the evaluation for this program. The link is in chat. And thank you very much for coming. Bye-bye, everybody.